Good afternoon, welcome to the UK Column News. It is the 20th of November 2014 and it's just gone 1 o'clock. Myself, Louise Collins, Brian Garish and Nick are here in Plymouth. And a bit grey here today in Plymouth, but better skies, I think, elsewhere, according to Intbel.
Muggy and cloudy in Dorset, sunny and mild in Swansea. And I can't quite see anything north of the border. Foggy, presumably.
Probably. Go on then. This is. I'm just looking at the picture you're about to put up. Apologies.
Well, no, I'm not going to.
Nice.
I'm going
to apologise.
Okay, you apologise. This is what our national press thinks is an acceptable and important subject. So straight to the Daily Mail, where they've created a whole article on the subject of picking scabs. So we've got complete with warning, graphic content. Max Holmes fell off his motorbike while travelling through Vietnam and he ends up with a big scab, and they're now discussing in the article the rights and wrongs of scab picking with unpleasant photographs, and the Daily Mail, and Madeline Davies is the lady that's created this article, thinks that this is worthy UK news.
This is news, is it?
Well, I don't think...
it's up to him if he wants to pick his scab and put it on the internet. Why does this woman, Madeline or whatever her name is, feel it necessary to write an article on it? I mean...
Because I think it's deliberate, and I think it's designed to pull our minds into the gutter, is what it's designed to do. This, of course, shouldn't even be in a local magazine, let alone a national newspaper. So this is a deliberate attack on our minds.
I mean, how much of the Mail, and I haven't seen any coverage today or yesterday of the Westminster paedophile ring, are there, but they find this interesting. So why aren't they covering more about the people we have got running this country and they're involved in?
You know, we could say the Mail thinks that they sell more newspapers if they have more articles on picking scabs. That can't possibly be true. So the Mail is prepared to give up fee-earning text space in order to put this article in. So there's got to be a reason that it's put in. And I'm going to say that I believe that that article is there to attack people's minds, to drag your mind into the gutter. What does that do? Makes us feel ill.
Yeah, fair dues.
So the Mail certainly isn't commenting on this sort of stuff. So a video is being circulated of Cheshire police knocking out a 16-year-old girl. And if you listen to the video, at about this point, 21 seconds in, you hear one of the police say if she hadn't kicked off in the first place and kept her mouth shut, there wouldn't have been an issue, right? So move away. So this is pretty heavy stuff from the police. It's a very interesting little video clip. Now, I can imagine some people saying, well, look at this young lady. I would guess she's had quite a bit to drink. She's kicking out. But what happens, how do the police deal with this situation? They get the muscle straight in, and it would appear, if the caption is correct, that eventually this girl is unconscious as a result.
What, does he punch her? Have you seen the whole video?
I couldn't quite make that out because it's taken on a phone, so the video clip is a bit difficult to see. We'd say to people, go and have a look at it. And I'm going to say, yes, we know that, of course, due to the amount of late-night drinking, many police constables find it difficult to do their job against unruly youngsters. But somewhere there's got to be the right and wrong in how you conduct policing. So thank you very much to Kevin, who sent that video clip through. And perhaps you'd like to have a look at it yourselves. So just YouTube, Cheshire police knock 16-year-old girl out. But the police and justice system failing elsewhere.
Exactly. Ben Emlyn Jones and the HPANWO website are reporting that she's actually a friend of mine as well. I've met Carla a few times. Carla Buckle, who set up, she was a founder member of the Berkshire and Oxford Seeking Peaceful Solutions Against Injustices, works quite closely with Yvonne Stewart-Taylor, who I was hoping to get on today, but we should have somebody on tomorrow about it. Well, she was picked up and arrested yesterday. She has been sent to HMP Bronzefield, which is in Surrey, and it's a Sodexo prison. And what's her crime? Well, her alleged crime is actually a refusal to pay, according to this article, an unlawful tax, council tax, and a speeding ticket fine, neither of which she is contracted to do under the common law. The prison, as we say, is run by Sodexo, and HPANWO readers and people of this show can actually phone the prison on 01784 425 690, extension 3579. Her inmate number is A0743DJ. But all for all the information, go to HPANWO website and have a look for the full article. But just another example of what's going on. People are standing up, fighting these things.
So we're saying Carla Buckle has been doing that, standing up and speaking out and fighting the establishment on a number of issues, and it appears that they've now gone for her.
Exactly.
Is that what we're looking at?
And apparently another member of the HPANWO website...
Not quite yet, Mike. Sorry, Nick.
Tried to act as a Mackenzie friend for her in court, but the judge apparently didn't allow it. She also assisted investigation on Greenham Common. Apparently Carla did. So
she'll be on the record then.
She will be on the record,
Greenham Common. She will be on the list. She's going to be on the potential terrorist.
Exactly.
Domestic terrorist.
Yep, exactly.
That's probably why they've locked her up.
Yeah. So I urge everybody just to go and have a look at Ben Emlyn Jones's website and have a look at the blog for all the information, and hopefully Yvonne or somebody from who are supporting there with Carla will be able to come on tomorrow to give us a better update. Where are we going now?
We're going where the police state leads us, a young lady in Sweden is
very
one of issue.
I'm hoping this woman's actually an actress, and she really isn't that stupid. Her name is Emelotte Lantz, and she's 25, and she's from northern Sweden, and she's the very first proud owner of a microchip. She's apparently a human guinea pig, and she was at a conference about digitalism, the internet, and the future. And it's just basically promoting the whole microchip agenda here.
She apparently says that she's keen to do this because it allows her to open her office door.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So there you are. She thinks we should have done it earlier. This lady thinks that we should have been microchipped earlier, and she's very excited to have a chip in her hand for the rest of her life because she can open her office door with it.
I know, very sad. But go and have a look at that, the local, no, that's a English-based website in Sweden.
Yeah.
Okay, where are you going?
Well, as the state closes in, whether it's microchips or not, we've got to be aware of this sort of thing. So we're back to the Daily Mail again. And, well, my goodness, Russians spy on UK families via their webcams, hackers use your computer to watch you at home and then post photos online. Hundreds of webcam victims are being shown live online, presumably like us at the moment. Yeah. Users can watch people in their living rooms or babies in their cots, and hackers target cameras when where users have not changed default passwords. But of course the key word with this is Russians. Lots of emotive stuff. So this young lady took her laptop into the bath, as you do, and then somebody was spying through the webcam. So she was obviously terrified, and presumably the Russians are spying on all of us in our baths.
Absolutely, yeah. They've been Russia's actually been hit by Ofcom, just saying about that.
Highly likely, of course, because Russia Today, UK version, is going to be a challenge to the BBC. If we just pop that one back for a second, Nick, if you would. Just wanted to add in here that what we've got here is ramping up the fear to achieve the latest Lib Dem con. This is all about Russia and Ukraine. So it's Russia. What they don't mention is who's spying on us anyway. GCHQ, MI5, the police, local authorities, MAPA, FTAC, traffic wardens, and as we revealed in an article in the Evening Herald in Plymouth, postmen and women are now going to be encouraged to seek out missing persons. So in the UK, we've got a spying network which is unbelievable, but where does the Daily Mail article focus? Well, it's those bad Russians. And as always, if you do read the article and pick up on what's being said, you find it leads you back to the source of the story in the first place. and would seem to us that this is where it takes us, Cyber Street. It's cyberstreet.com, and one of these interesting websites. You can't really see people behind it, but you know it's to be trusted because it's all in nice,
Pretty
joyful colours, and it's got a little bit of cartoon stuff. So it's for adults, but it's made as if you've got a mental age of 3. But if we just highlight this bit, we get a clue, because up in the top left-hand corner, there we've got HM Government. So has it been HM Government that's created the Russian spying story? Well, maybe, but have a look at the partners. This is just a few of them, of the people who are involved in protecting us from online spying. So we've got Capital One, we've got Barclays Bank, Action Fraud. ADS is the premier trade organisation for all companies operating in the UK aerospace, defence, security and space sectors.
Wow.
So British Aerospace, handling all the military secrets it does, goes to a little website with cartoon buildings to learn how to protect itself from Russian hackers. Presumably British Aerospace people don't have baths at all because they'd be very vulnerable. But it goes on. We've got Crime Stoppers, we've got Frillo, we've got FFX, Financial Fraud Action. They can't stop any of the fraud in the international banking cartels. And by the way, Parliament is empty today on the discussion to do with money. We think about 12. We'll cover that tomorrow. But it goes on and on and on. Here's the Information Commissioner's office, so they're obviously big on dealing with Russian hackers as well. It's pretty mind-boggling, isn't it? It is so simple. And if you see a website and you can't find an easy telephone number, that's your first indication you're looking at something dodgy.
Yeah.
If there are no people identified, that's the next one. And if it's colourful with lots of little cartoon-like images, it's probably been created by the state. That's the way it seems to us anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, if that's a bit of poking a bit of fun at the state, let's delve into things and have a look at who is really driving the political agenda. And we're going to thank one of our overseas viewers again for highlighting this. And it's a YouTube video with a talk that's been run by the Institute for Public Policy Research. And two people here. This is the main speaker, Dominic Cummings, former special advisor to Michael Gove MP. And the other gentleman who's just announcing him is Nick Pearce, who's the director of IPPR. But have a look at the boards behind them. You can just about make it out. It's talking about ideas and change. So here we've got a special advisor who is absolutely hacking all things to do with Westminster apart. But I thought we'd actually read the comments that were sent through to us by a viewer. I would urge you to listen through the full hour of this talk if you can. It's a condensed version of his more impenetrable blog arguments that I forwarded to you, the column, a couple of times. He's a pernicious insider, as he has no regard for the Constitution or for the notion that politics is there to obey the orders of the people and honour national sovereignty and righteousness. He's much more a French-style bureaucrat talking about the aims of politics, long-term planning, sod the voters, and wringing his hands with the aims of the civil service. That the aims of the civil service are not being aggressively and effectively pursued. As far as he's concerned, the system needs to steal aggressive ideas from corporations and from more effective dictatorships than itself. However, his analysis of PPE grads, this is politics, philosophy and economics, their takeover of the system, self-selection for narcissists and their illiteracy, even regarding economics. So he's basically attacking all the people that come into politics as a result of getting this PPE degree through Oxford or Cambridge, and that's most of our politicians. And the commentator here is saying, well, they've created the PPE degree to cut off the ruling class from proper morality and right and wrong. That's the deontology. which they would get if they studied classics. So you're not looking at what's right, what's wrong, what are the correct ways to govern, what is beyond the law. This is being wiped out in this blurry PPE degree. And then he points out, of course, this man is talking to the IPPR, which is another one of the think tanks ramming all this stuff through. In summary, he can identify the problems eloquently and authoritatively, but he has no solutions, as he's absolutely nothing to say about our law and customs or morality in any form. The notion that the past did it better is foreign to him, if not laughable. That's the real tragedy. Now, remember that last statement there, the notion that the past did it better, because I'm going to come on to that in a minute. But if you want to delve into the PPE situation, why is it that our ruling classes are all coming straight out of Oxford and Cambridge? Well, even The Guardian started to dig into this and say, is it the ultimate blaggers degree?
So what does the PPE stand for again?
It's
paedophile politicians elected?
Could be.
Maybe?
It could be. It could be.
Okay.
With a bit of philosophy in there as well. My goodness, I didn't know what to say there.
Sorry.
That's fine. So, where's this man sort of popped up from? Well, bring in Michael Gove. And we've gone to The Spectator, because when you try and find out about Mr. Cummings, you can't really find a CV for him. He suddenly pops into politics. But there is some stuff on The Spectator. There's also a little bit about him in The Guardian, some thoughts on education and political priorities. So they're pointing out he's a special advisor, but also that he's been causing trouble by upsetting people. And it ended up that Mr. Gove had to write a letter back to the Labour Party, trying to blur the issue with how many times Mr. Cummings had come back into the Department of Education after he'd stepped down from being a special advisor. So this was part of the letter that Gove wrote. And if we just read a little bit, as I acknowledged in the House, old friends and colleagues do drop into the department from time to time. I'm sure you'll recognise that in the context of a team that's worked together over a number of years in opposition as well as government, it would be highly unusual for all contact to cease immediately and utterly simply because an individual leaves their post. So what he's saying is this guy left his post. Well, he just comes in as a friend. He comes into the department. So what does he get up to? Well, I won't read the next bit, but in the other paragraph, Gove gets a bit cocky and says, well, I'm not going to waste taxpayers' money finding out how many times Mr. Cummings came into the department, so you'll have to just lump it with what I'm telling you. Well, where does this take us? Well, you can see here that The Spectator did another article on Mr. Cummings, where Cummings had been absolutely hammering David Cameron. Maybe not such a bad thing. But the Mail here picked up that Cummings has trenchant views on how generations of children have been failed by Britain's school system. His mother was a special needs teacher. And then we get the meat. Right. After running a failing airline firm in Russia, he embarked on a political career and an unhappy stint as Director of Strategy during Ian Duncan Smith's ill-starred tenure as Tory leader. So you go running from a failed Russian airliner into British politics. So my question here is, who is this man? How did he get appointed as a special advisor? What is his experience? And how come he comes straight out of Russia? Was he advising the Russians on to hack our computers?
Maybe he is actually a Russian spy hacker.
Right, but he's now embedded in government, and these are the sort of people who are driving political policy, not our politicians. So we're just using this one as an example, and we're saying, who is this man, and how did he get in the middle of politics, and why is it that he's putting his personal agenda across to create politics in education and elsewhere? Well, this goes on because we'll give you another example. And this really is, we brought this up yesterday or the day before. We've got our second Sea Lord. He's the man who deals with Manning and and training and all that sort of thing. Vice Admiral David Steele, CBE. And what had he done? Well, he'd signed a pledge with Stonewall. So he's committing the Royal Navy to meeting objectives put forward by the charity Stonewall. And we asked a question. We said, well, what authority has this man got to be signing up the Royal Navy to meet a pledge from a charity? It's interesting, isn't it? And we can go on because we got the Telegraph here pointing out that the new Education Secretary and Equalities Minister has just appointed a gay rights campaigner as a special advisor. And we'll give you the text on this. The appointment of Luke Trill, who was the head of education at Stonewall, the UK's leading gay rights organisation, will be seen as an effort to silence critics who suggested that Miss Morgan's opposition to gay marriage made her an inappropriate candidate to lead Britain's equality policy. At the time of her appointment, Michael Cashman, the founder of Stonewall and a former Labour MEP, tweeted, "Nicky Morgan in charge of education and equalities is deeply worrying. The true nature of the Tory party is unchanged and reverting to type." So we think the key thing is here to ask a question. It's really about Mr. Luke Trill, what he is about. Is this another aggressive political homosexual who's going to force his personal views and values onto the nation through education? So we're going to leave it there because we think our audience might like to think through what's happening. So is it Britain's politicians that are deciding the agenda, or is it a team of special advisors now buried in the civil service, presumably with the help of political charity Common Purpose, of course?
Yeah, they've got to be in there somewhere, haven't they?
But how does that reflect on schools?
This story
This one says it all, doesn't it?
Incredible. Yeah. Ofsted has marked down a primary school in Lincolnshire for being too English, according to the Daily Express. Have we got the article there? Does it not come up?
It hasn't come up.
Okay, so this is the Daily Express article. And
if Nick just brings us back on camera, I'll see if I can fix that while the show is live.
Right,
you won't get this service on the BBC, but we're going to attempt the impossible at the moment. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so anyway, let's get into this. This Lincolnshire school has been downgraded because it is too English. Middle Raisin Primary School in Market Raisin, which is a high-achieving school, missed out on its outstanding rating after Ofsted inspectors marked down the grade because the children had limited cultural development.
We can bring it on screen. Look at that.
There you go.
There is
there's the article.
There's no licence fee for this television-like programme. You don't have, no licence
exactly, no
fee.
licence, but we're not TV-like.
We're running on less than 3.6 billion.
Yeah.
And we're able to do this amazing technology live during a programme.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant.
Shall I carry on with the story now?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I was just getting carried away
You
there.
were. Okay, calm down.
So we're back to the children.
So the school, Middle Raisin Primary School, Market Raisin, a high-achieving school, and as we say, it's been marked down because of the children had limited cultural development. Parents and staff were stunned at the downgrade, but the head teacher, Melanie Brunton, accepted criticism, saying she would now try to set up a partnership with inner-city schools to meet the inspectors' demands. And apparently there's only 100 children in this little village school. And because there aren't enough, there's too many English in there apparently, so they can't have
not enough diversity.
Not enough diversity, so they can't get the full outstanding grade, no matter what the children are learning and how well they're doing. But because there are too many English in there, they're going to get downgraded. Shocking.
Yeah, and somebody has created that policy. Somebody in the Department of Education through Ofsted has created that policy. So what we need to do is find out who the individual or individuals were that created that policy.
Yeah.
Then we will be starting to get close to the source of the trouble. Well, let's bring in the Daily Telegraph, and this comes back to this article of Life as It Was. So thank you for the person who sent this through to us. So it's part of the Telegraph's morning briefing sequence. Tinker Tailor Soldier UKIPper is the title on this one. And basically the whole article is about the election with Mark Reckless, which is today, if I remember correctly. Rochester and Stroud. So we wait to see what's going to happen with that. So what is this article doing? Well, we're saying it slips the knife in, because if we come into the second page here, they are saying that UKIP fancy that they're in with a chance. There's talk about more conservative defectors. And then they get into the last paragraph and they say the challenge of winning back UKIPers without losing the country is laid bare by Sam Coates' analysis in the Times. Supporters of Nigel Farage's party are far angrier about the state of modern Britain than everyone else, with 68% wanting to turn the clock back by 30 years and just 38% of voters agree. So this is the twist, this is the knife going in. If you disagree with the state of the country at the moment, overseas wars, we haven't got, we can't run the NHS properly, we can't run the schools properly, we're going to discriminate against the English. We can't feed people. If you disagree with that situation today, well, actually, you're an old fuddy-duddy who simply wants to turn the clock back. So, a disgraceful article by the Telegraph, but of course it shows us very clearly the way that the establishment attacks anybody who dares to say, well, I don't like what's going on now, and actually some parts of our lives were better 20, 30, 40 years ago. So, you might like to read that article, written by Stephen Bush. Well, I don't know, perhaps he's related to the Bush family. Probably not.
Probably not, no. Okay, so Brian covered this Sunday People article earlier in the week where a victim of the Westminster paedophile abuse scandal exposed the children were being murdered at Dolphin Square sex parties. And now Tom Watson, MP, has actually put up a response to the article, which I urge viewers and listeners to go and read on Tom Watson's website, tomwatson.co.uk. And here it is. Exaro and the Sunday People have published a story regarding allegations of child murder. Here is my response. The allegations of cruelty, torture and murder are truly shocking and go far beyond the case I raised with the Prime Minister 2 years ago. The public will be deeply concerned, which is why it is vital the police quickly establish the facts. It's such a disturbing allegation that I have no doubt the resources will be found to conduct a thorough investigation. If this is true, this is a vital piece of the jigsaw in the pursuit of organised child abuse. We are at the point where the government should consider a national police inquiry made up of specialists from around the country. It is unfair to ask the police in London alone to investigate alleged crimes that took place in many regions of the UK. I am writing to the Prime Minister to make this request.
So Tom Watson really nailing his colours to the mast on this one.
Basically, yeah.
And we can't say too much, but we understand, without mentioning names, that some MPs are being threatened at the moment as the investigation into the child abuse and child murders gains pace.
Yeah, some are being warned not to speak too much, especially to police, we can say at the moment.
Yeah, interesting situation. Seems to us that the establishment are getting very, very frightened now as more and more information comes out about the abuse of children, the murder of children, and of course the connections through to the British political elite. But let's remember, as far as the Mail's concerned, the most important story, short of picking scabs, is to worry about Russians sneaking previews of us in our bath. Actually, we could solve the whole problem by simply teaming up the Russian hackers with Brooks Newmark MP, because he's very happy to be photographed naked in his bathroom.
Yeah, he takes his electronic equipment into the bathroom.
Into the bathroom, enough of that.
We'll stop now.
So what's the Telegraph got to say?
Okay, so continuing on with this story, Jackie Melton, who is a former Scotland Yard detective, has spoken out about a cover-up of a young boy's murder more than 30 years ago. Vishal, his name is Vishal Mitora, was a 9-year-old boy, and his father, who was a magistrate, a retired magistrate, claimed he had a recorded mystery caller saying his son might have been taken to Elm Guest House. Apparently, Vishal's father, this is back in 1981, took the recording to the police at the time, but claimed they refused to investigate the allegation implicating judges and politicians. And Vishal's father, Mr. Mathura, said it had been a huge cover-up. Vishal vanished less than a mile away from Elm Guest House. He was abducted when he walked home after watching Charles and Di's wedding procession. And 6 months later, his bones were found in a field in Sussex. So this lady, where is her name? Jackie Melton, she has now spoken out, and she says there is clear evidence that something was happening at the guest house. If nothing has been done about it in retrospect, then Vishal's father is right. Either the police disbelieve it or they covered it up one way or another. And apparently, one sec, Nick Clegg described the allegations as grotesque and echoed Mr. Mathura's calls for a proper investigation. And Simon Danczuk, the MP who exposed Cyril Smith, said he may raise the issue in the Commons today. So we just need to keep an eye out on if Mr. Danczuk speaks.
And if I got this right, Keith Vaz just happened to be head of the legal team for the local authority in whose area Elm Guest House was located, but he apparently says that he didn't know anything about this that was going on. So maybe a few questions to be asked there, but what it appears to us is that the truth is bubbling up to the surface now. As more publicity comes out, more people are coming forward with information. But if the allegations that have been made to the UK column this morning that MPs are now receiving threats in order to keep them away from talking to police officers, it seems to us that there may be some real progress being made.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope they're talking to Bill Maloney and Chris Fay, because Chris, of course, was involved very heavily talking to witnesses and victims.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, we're going to jump back on something we've mentioned previously, and that was that our local supermarkets are now happy to help serve flu vaccinations. And we did mention this, but we didn't have the leaflet, so here it is. Flu vaccination in-store service. Get your flu vaccination here. Ask your Sainsbury's pharmacy for details. So our point was, bring all your bugs into the supermarket and share it with a few other hundred shoppers. But there we are. Visit your Sainsbury's pharmacy to find out about flu vaccinations. And there's all the information in nice bright colours, all laid out simply for adults.
They're doing it at Tesco's and Asda, and all the big supermarkets are involved. I think it's about a tenner you've got to pay, I believe. Right,
so worried about catching flu this winter? What is flu? When should you get yourself vaccinated? Book now and make us lots of money from assisting the vaccination.
Oh, you've got a book with Sainsbury's. I know. I think it's Asda. You can just walk in on the day and just turn up for an appointment.
Yeah. So there you are, and they even show you how to blow your nose properly on the front of the cover.
Nice.
So added value.
Added value, and all they need now is a scat picking person as well. Make it even better.
Okay, take us to America.
Okay, so this story was picked up by Health Impact News, but it actually comes from the website of the Centre for Disease Control. The CDC states that on February 10th, 2014, the USS Arden, a Navy minesweeper, was on a training exercise in California when 25 crew members were taken ill with flu-like symptoms. Swabs were apparently taken, and at least 16 of the 25 were confirmed with influenza. A statement confirming all Navy operational units are vaccinated and admit that even though vaccinations have been administered, flu outbreaks can still occur in highly vaccinated military populations. And Health Impact News really says what I'm thinking. What does that say then about the mandatory flu jabs for our children? If it's going to be, if they're openly admitting that in vaccinated areas, flu is still running wild within the military, so what's it doing to our children?
Well, that's the question, and we'll leave that question hanging out there because a lot of people doing research into it. If you still haven't seen any of Christina England's work, just Google Christina and have a read of her excellent work on vaccines and the dangers of vaccines.
VacTruth, VacTruth.com.
Does that take us to Ebola then?
Yeah, okay, rents here. Ebola, a man-made disaster for diamonds. What do Sierra Leone and Liberia and Guinea have in common? Not just Ebola, according to this article. And what makes diamonds of Sierra Leone, Guinea and Liberia so special is that this is one of the rare regions of the world containing large alluvial diamonds, which are massive rocks of about 300 plus carats. And this article is saying it is no surprise that the Ebola outbreak is being pushed so much when they are so desperate to get in there for the minerals of these countries. And in this article it says, if you think that diamonds cannot be a reason for destabilising an entire nation, people should think again. And we do not as yet have the documents to prove that De Beers, which I believe is a Jewish Zionist...
Well, it's a massive diamond firm.
Yeah, Anglo-American Financial Executive Outcomes, which is a private South African-based mercenary company, which apparently has 3,000 men and helicopters, and is actually being used to destabilise Sierra Leone during the 1990 civil war. So it's really basically making the connections between. It's amazing how Ebola's suddenly broken out in this region, which has these very, very precious diamonds. The stables become totally, the areas become totally unstable. And then here we go, in with these big firms getting into this country.
And that's, we thank rents.com for that information, if you want to follow that through. Well, from diamonds to smart meters.
Okay, well, I'll say this is a little bit of good news, actually. The 11 billion smart meter programme is being delayed a year. DCC, which is a company run by Capita, say that they can't meet the full national installation start date that was due to start in late 2015, but they are now proposing to start in October 2016, and that a further £90 million will be needed. And at the end of this article, a tiny little paragraph, they mention that smart meters are not compulsory and that fewer than half of households actually want these smart meters. And if anyone wants to know a little bit more about the smart meter agenda, please go to stopsmartmeters.co.uk, where you'll see great articles from Mike Mitchum, Ian Crane and many others.
But good news on fracking.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that.
So I'm being sarcastic because we have a problem with one or two viewers misinterpreting sarcasm as we're for it. We're not.
We're not. We're really not. Okay, Ineos, the chemical giant, have announced plans to invest 640 million in fracking and the production of gas here in the UK. Ineos has been buying up the rights to explore hundreds of square miles around its plant in Grangemouth, Stirlingshire, and they have also applied to the British government for onshore fracking licences in the areas marked here in yellow. So we are quite lucky because it doesn't hit us here in Devon, but Somerset is very heavily targeted, as are the other places. Yeah. So I'm sure Ian will have a few words to say on that, and I'm due to speak to him later tonight. So
good.
I'll get some comment from him.
Has he got a suntan then?
I don't know yet. I'm going to speak to him tonight, so I'll find out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's always a danger that UK column news reports are just too TV-like. And we had an interesting little email from a lady saying that she'd been in contact with APVOD and she just thought we'd like to know about a document that they are pushing out. So here we are. Brian, I was just mooching through the APVOD website to see what had changed since they tried to close down the UK column. I'm horrified that this so-called regulatory body, which claims it looks after children, has a long list of porn websites complete with links on its website. They say that the above sites were in breach of APVOD's Rule 11 and thereby contravened Section 368E brackets 2 of the Communications Act 2003, the Act. By putting these links on its website, APVOD is allowing another channel of porn to be accessible to anyone. Not only is APVOD raising money from these porn sites in fees, it's also advertising them. There is the clear question of who is guarding the guards. I will put in a complaint, the response to which will no doubt, by usual, I think it will.
Teeth in?
Well, I don't think it reads quite rightly at the bottom. The response to which will no doubt be the usual corporate confused twaddle. I think we probably agree with that. So what was this lady talking about? Well, here is the independent chair of APVOD. We've spoken about this lady before. We just thought we'd bring her icon onto screen. How does this organisation make its money? Well, we're getting a bit of a clue here. So we've got just a short video clip of the document to which our kind viewer was talking about. It's a little bit slow to start, but basically it'll scroll through some of these adult sites. I'll leave you to read these for yourself without a commentary, but we're not talking mild adult education.
Have we had any comeback from them recently since we stopped being so TV-like and taken everything off?
No, I think they got a little bit. I think they got a little bit nervous, but there's more to come with the Atvod saga, because the key thing is exposing them for what they are, and that is out of control.
Yeah.
So as usual, we're not going to apologise for putting this up on screen, but as the lady says, what is Atvod doing? These are active links in the document, so if you click on them, they take you straight through to the sites. Here is Atvod claiming it's protecting children. Seems to us what they're actually doing is making money to pay their salaries off the adult sex industry. Nice. Okay, well, you've got an advert.
We do. Tonight's show, Danielle and I are talking to Ian Puddick and what he's been up to, and there is a new documentary that he is involved with, and he's been working alongside Michael Doherty as well. So an hour's show tonight at midnight on peoplesinternetradio.com or noholdsbarredradioshow.com.
Okay,
Thank you.
And just a couple of words. Melanie Shaw continues to say that literally she is overwhelmed by the support she's received to help her through this next saga in her life. So she's still on bail. She still hasn't received any of her allowances. We spoke to her last night, and she is in a very good frame of mind. There will be an appeal going forward, but it's your generosity that has helped her survive, really, and feed herself. So all of those of you that have kindly sent through postal orders, thank you very much. And I can tell you that Melanie is quite overwhelmed by support, because she said, I have never had this type of help and kindness from people in my whole life.
Nice one.
We should also remember Robert Green. Of course, Robert is still stuck at home having to report on bail to Cheshire Police every day. But we understand that Robert now believes that he is going to be charged with harassment against an individual north of the border. So he will have been held on bail, reporting to the police every day for virtually a year, because a solitary individual north of the border made an allegation of harassment. Do we believe that? Well, personally, I don't believe it. I think the charge is real. That is how it's framed. But clearly this has been orchestrated by the Scottish Magic Circle, and maybe Alex Salmon was planting his sunstone, gloating over his success at keeping Robert off the stage. But we'll report more on this in due course. But there we are. We've got now the murder of children clearly coming to the surface, clearly being covered up by successive British governments, the latest being that of Conservative Prime Minister David Cameron. Meanwhile, the victims imprisoned, Sodexo Prison Peterborough, Melanie Shaw, or
and
simply
Carla
Buckle, or people simply put under house arrest for protracted periods, as with Robert Green.
People are asking, Adrian's asking, how can people contact Robert? Because he's not allowed to use the internet still, is he? So people could write here, couldn't they? You could forward it on?
Yes, if anybody would like to communicate with Robert, we'd be very happy to forward on letters to him. I'm sure he would like to hear from people. And perhaps I'm actually going to say now, this wasn't planned, but I know that Robert Green is another person who is in very difficult financial position because of what has been happening to him. I'm not going to say any more than that. And if I'm going to mention Robert Green, I'm also going to say this is true of Bill Maloney. And one of the things I know for Bill Maloney is that he really needs a new professional Beck Apple computer in order to do his film and graphics processing. So there are many good people out there struggling. If you think you can help, well, we would be interested in helping, but I'll say no more. Thanks very much for joining us. And
can I just do a thing for the bump stickers, T-shirts? Yeah, I'll be quick. Bump stickers, leaflets, and who folded this up last? Probably Mike. And the T-shirts are all available from Carol at ukcolumn.org, and that's CAROLE at ukcolumn.org. And everything that we get in from you guys helps us continue what we're doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it. Bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.